Hey folks, a very good morning to all of you. I hope I'm audible and you guys can also see the screen. All right, thanks Anupriya, thanks Debu. Wonderful. So we have six participants on time. I am also expecting a few more guys. So I think until more people join in, we can start breaking the ice, right? So yes, very good morning to you. It's a wonderful weather here in Bangalore. I hope wherever you guys are. It's a nice weather there and a beautiful morning. So great. So let's start the session with introductions. In fact, that's the idea of today's session is to introduce ourselves to each other and also to the topic. So I'll start with myself, and then we can all unmute and speak or type in the chat window anything we are comfortable with. All right, so my name is Satyam Gambhir, and I will be taking you through four capsule sessions on web analytics. I've been training at Digital Vidya for almost 4 years now. I think it is also because it's one of my hobbies to uh, give gyan to people. So that's one of the reasons that I'm here. And I've been working in the digital marketing industry for almost 12 years now. Not that I'm that old, I started a bit early. My clients are in the industry of real estate, content, a lot of mobile apps, non-profit, some e-commerce, and more about my clients we'll talk about as we go ahead in the session. We will be sharing some of the case studies here. So measuring stuff and measuring stuff being very close to my heart, I think uh, it 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 makes sense that together we will do justice to this topic. So that was about me, and let's hear from you guys because your introductions are more important than anything else because based on your backgrounds, where you're coming from, your experience, your expectations, I'll be able to design a session better for you guys. So who goes first? Okay, Devu is saying into advertising, always short of time. Oh my God. Okay, Devu. So that's why you were too quick with your introduction. How about others? Yeah. How about Keyur, Priya, Rajesh? Tell me about yourself. Years of experience would also help me uh, at least assume some kind of a understanding of yours in the domain. Okay, Debu says 20 years. Brilliant. Or if you guys want to unmute and speak, that's also absolutely fine. Okay. So Rashida says studying at Symbiosis Media and Communication, Bangalore. Okay, wonderful. Is there a Symbiosis Media and Communication in Bangalore, or are you talking about this institute that they have in Electronic City? Okay, Rajesh says having 18 years experience and interest in digital marketing and have own blogs and sites. Wonderful, Rajesh. So, what these blogs and sites are about? Okay, Shivam says, hi, I'm Shivam. I'm a teacher. I wanted to learn digital marketing and want to become a successful blogger. Great. Welcome, Shivam. I hope there is value for you. All right, Rashida, you're in Electronic City Phase 1. Great. I've been there before. In fact, I've taken a couple of sessions also there last year. Great. So good. I think it's a great mix of participants today in the batch where we have people from 20 years of experience, and also as students. We have Anupriya here, who's MBA in media management, working as marketing executive in corporate sector. Wonderful. So we have Priya from Thailand, currently working as digital marketing data analyst. Oh, great. I think in such a batch, when people come in from such varied backgrounds, the strength of the batch becomes peer learning and diverse backgrounds. And there is very little, in fact, I will try to limit myself in the top down gyan giving, because what helps most in such diverse backgrounds, some of my other batches are mostly coming from a single type of organization, but here I see a lot of diversity. Kayur is from Mumbai, he's done MBA in marketing and have been working in an advertising firm. Oh my god, everybody's an MBA in this batch. Great. Wonderful. How about, I don't know whether I'm pronouncing your name right, but Arghya. Haven't heard from Arghya yet. All right. I think rest of you have shared your introduction. Wonderful. I think. Uh, all right. So let me also begin by saying that analytics, out of the other domains that you've been learning uh, with digital vidya, social media marketing, email, and AdWords and whatnot, analytics a little odd one out. You know, this is definitely not one, people's first choice if they want to take one module. Sometimes people sandwich web analytics in between two interesting domains. But I must tell you, analytics is, if you just ignore the word, I know it's very boring, is one of the most beautiful things you can ever come across. And I hope we together do justice to this beautiful domain. And let me ask you this question. How many of you would consider yourself a beginner in the domain of web analytics? Beginner as in how many of you would rate yourself 0, 1, 2, 3 on a scale of 10 um, in the domain of web analytics? And be very honest, how many of you are beginners? Okay, Shivam says 0, Rashida says 0. Okay, we have three people who are like absolute beginners. Debu is good. And how many of us would rate ourselves 5, 6, 7 or 4, 5, 6, 7 in analytics? Oh, wonderful. We have two. And is there anyone who would rate oneself as 8, 9, 10 expert in analytics? Okay, all right. See, whenever I ask people, what is the first thing that comes to your mind when you think about analytics? And they say bar charts, pie charts, Excel sheets, numbers, permutation, combination, differentiation, integration, and all of those mathematical stuff. My dear friends, analytics is not that, or not just that. In fact, that's all the ugly part of statistical um, portion of analytics, which, by the way, many softwares do more efficiently than humans. I would say analytics is all about reading stories out of numbers. So it's going to be a joyful ride, guys. It's not going to be very boring. It's not going to be boring at all, I would say. And we're going to take every time a step back, understand the philosophy behind why we're doing what we're doing before we approach any problem statement. And now let me put forward a few rules of the game. Some are non-negotiable. Rule number one is make sure you arrange for a mic. Make sure you arrange for a mic, because bringing yourself into the session is very important. Otherwise, I can keep on saying stuff like a FM radio channel, and you guys will listen or probably watch YouTube and Facebook next to this window that you're learning. But I must say, the moment you start speaking up, I have, out of my own experience, seen the learning curve being shortened, and you will have a heightened sense of learning the moment you start participating with your audio. If by any chance you do not have a mic, or you are very shy, It's okay to use chat window, but bring your character in the class. That's rule number one. The more you do that, the more you will be answering your peers' question as opposed to one guy sitting in one side of the laptop answering all questions. Now, if you can bring that, I think the learning levels are going to be very, very high. Number two, drop your fears of mathematics and statistics. I must tell you, people who have flunked their 10th standard mathematics or do not know how to use Excel sheets can be wonderful, wonderful business analysts. And somebody who has excelled in statistics in their engineering and their MBA may become a very bad analyst. It's just about how can we learn to understand and tell stories based on numbers. If we can hold that skill of ours, if we can go beyond numbers and see the context more than the content is what will make us great analysts. So drop your fear that I don't know much of mathematics and permutation, combination, and all of that. Number three, go easy on yourself. Don't pressurize yourself that, hey, this is becoming complicated and I missed one session or I have not done this before and I don't do know this and all of that. Confusions are, or a confusion is the first step towards wisdom. So don't fear confusion. Don't pressurize yourself. Hey, I'm not learning. Don't drop out, because if you don't learn, that's fine. It's absolutely fine to ask your trainer the same thing 100 times over, or connect after the session over an email or a phone call to understand the topic that you haven't understood, or even connect with your peers if they have understood it well. And by the way, sometimes if the session becomes over Gyani session where you believe that a lot of Gyan Satyam is giving, you can always ask me to slow down, chill, relax, take breaks. Because taking breaks is the key to learning. It's not like those social media marketing sessions where you will jump on from one case study to another. Because in the analytics domain, case studies are limited because data is very, very confidential to organizations. They don't share case studies as much, but we will try and grasp as much as possible. And the final rule is that you in these sessions are not a marketer. You may also be a marketer, because the moment you bring the marketer inside you here in the class, you will have a very biased understanding of analytics. And I must tell you, if business is a body, a human body, then marketing is just one arm of it. Digital marketing is probably a finger, and analytics is probably one portion of a finger. So in order to understand one thing better, please let's start approaching from the business perspective, and then we can, manifest. We can probably go towards finance, supply chains, and whatnot, and probably decide to come to marketing. So these are the few rules that we will abide by. And by the way, if you are with me in the next 4 sessions, and by the way, if you have missed one session, go through the recording before coming the next one. If you are with me for the next 4 sessions, you guys will be second to none when it comes to analytics. Have that confidence. If you are a student looking for a job, you'll be able to find one. If you're an organization looking for an agency, you'll be able to find one, evaluate one. If you're an agency looking to sell analytics as a service, you'll be able to do that. All right. So just keep your mind open, and whenever you need break, just ask. All right. So let's start today's session with what is it that we have in store for us in the next 4 capsule sessions. What is it that we are going to do? Today, the first session is about getting to know stuff. So it's like when on day one, when we go to maybe learn swimming or maybe gymming or something, we just walk around, right? We just walk around, have a look, touch a few machines in the gym, or maybe put the feet into the water in the swimming pool to see whether it is warm enough for me to jump. Just walk around the swimming pool before you actually slowly get into it, right? Forget about swimming fluently. But today's session is all about understanding stuff, module 0 and module 1. We will not attempt to finish the entire two modules 0 and 1, but it's all about, starting slow. Learning slow is very important because, as they say, when you learn to drive a car, drive it slow. Because once you've learned all the ways and means to drive a car, it's only a matter of pressing the pedal after that. In session 2 onwards, we're going to do module 2, which is about configuring things in the tool or in some of in our own minds. So it's about, hey, now we are getting to you wearing the gear before we get into the swimming pool, the right trunks, the right glasses, the right cap, the right temperature of the swimming pool. So configuration of ourselves to the tool and also configuring the tool so that in future we use analytics concepts to improve our marketing capability and capacity. Module 3 is about reading stories out of numbers. Do these stories tell us anything about the people who want to buy from us? Who are the audience? What is the behavior they're exhibiting? How am I acquiring them and whether they are doing what we want them to do? You want them to sign up for a site visit, you want them to buy your iPhone, you want them to buy a musical instrument on your sites, or anything else, or whether they're signing up for a newsletter, whether they're converting or they're doing things that you want them to do. And then module 4 or the last session is about advanced reports, which are non pre-configured reports, but they are reports that you will configure, or these are the reports that business wants as opposed to the tool offering it. So advanced reports, in fact, module 4 is also one of those, um, those key takeaways are going to be those where they are going to decide whether you will be a great analyst or a good analyst, the difference between the two. If we get some time extra, we will do a bonus half an hour session on those analytical capabilities that today we have, where if we want to analyze our user base who never come to our website at all, can we do that? So for example, people don't buy Nike shoes on Nike.com. They go buy it on Myntra. Or people don't buy iPhones on Apple.com. So does that mean that these organizations, if they analyze their own web presence, it's not sufficient? The answer is yes, they are not sufficient to go beyond that and analyze where the users are as opposed to your own web presence. While the scope of the entire session is module 0 to module 4, we will see if we can touch upon the bonus as well. Now, at this moment, if you have anything in mind you want me to cover, please say that, or in future, if you find something that you want me to cover, please say that. I may not be able to add it immediately, but maybe take some time and add it. All right. Is everything okay? Fine? You're on track? Okay, great. So let's start our journey. Let's start with a few philosophical concepts. The context, as I said, is very important. Then how to. How to is the easiest part of the lot. And you don't need sometimes a trainer to, even learn how to use Google or Adobe, by the way. I am personally a self-learner. Uh, and I must say that uh, if I give you topic names, you'll Google it and you will find it how to do it. But of course, I'll hold your hand and make you do all the stuff together. In fact, I will ask you guys to share the screen and show it to the rest of us, while I'll be guiding you with my audio also. But module 0 is about why we are doing what we are doing. These are the philosophies, which will help us navigate through tough times. So let's begin by asking ourselves a question. We all have that entrepreneur inside us, right? We may not call ourselves as entrepreneurs all the time, but we all sometimes believe, hey, I will open a restaurant when I retire. I'll open a coffee shop on MG Road in my city when I retire. Or maybe once I will start a tech startup. Maybe I'll beat Uber one day. Or maybe some of us are already living that journey, right? Some of us are entrepreneurs, you've said in the introduction. So we all have that little entrepreneur inside us, but we are often stuck with what we believe, what we dream, versus what numbers say. So let's take an example. Let's take an example of Debu. Let's say he wants to start a coffee shop on MG Road in Bangalore, right? It's a very happening place, by the way. Imagine your own MG Road is there in every city, or a Connaught Place or a Karol Bagh. And Debu wants to start a coffee shop there. Now he is getting sleepless nights because because it's his dream to start this business. He knows that he will one day beat Starbucks and Barista and become a better chain than them. And he knows, where to open it. And he has identified a real estate agent who is finding a place for him. He knows how the menu will look like, what kind of crowd will come in, what kind of coffee he will sell, and so on and so forth. But in the middle of all of this, when he shares this idea with his friends say, "Hey, boy, you crazy? It's a stupid idea. I mean, gone are those days when you do this and blah blah blah." And then Debu is disappointed, and then he goes to his family. Family also says the same thing. Debu, you have a wonderful job. Why are you quitting? And then Debu, does some survey or Google's about some entrepreneurial forum where other people who have done similar stuff before have failed. So wherever Debu is trying to find encouragement to start his own business, he's not able to find anything. Everybody is discouraging, but he still believes that it may happen, it may become the real deal. So my question to all of you in this batch today is this: if you were in Debu's situation, or if Debu is in his situation like this, what would you do? Would you go ahead and make the idea happen and tell the world how it is done? Or would you take a step back, relax, analyze what went wrong when people, had experienced failure, and then decide whether to go ahead or not? I mean, the question is simple: whether you go ahead or whether you'll analyze. I want an answer from all of you. Debo is saying more worried about whether investments will fetch returns, hence will look for analytics. Okay. Take time back and think and analyze. Will analyze. Guys, don't say analyze just because you're in the analytics class. So please say what you're feeling. Would you start a new business because you feel for it? See, sometimes it's also like, proposing that one girl in your school or one boy you like, if you're a girl, and you don't analyze there much sometimes, right? You feel for the person, you go and um, you go and propose, without the fear of rejection sometimes. But yes, of course, uh, things at stakes, things are there at stake also, if not money. Okay, Debu is saying we'll ask opinion from people who have done it all. Kayur is saying sorry, I missed the question. So Kayur, I'm just saying that if you believe that your business idea will work, but analytics and numbers and primary research and surveys and secondary research say it won't, would you go ahead and make the idea happen, or would you analyze further and see what went wrong? That's the question. Is there no one in the session who says that I will go ahead and make it happen? No one, even Shreya is saying I'll analyze. Kayor is also doing I'll do a test survey. My God, you guys are all belong to the same basket. Okay, all right. So I'm not saying whether you guys are wrong or right. I'm no one to decide. Time will tell if you actually go on that, if you go on that road. But let's first see a few examples on how organizations reacted when they faced similar situations. So I want to take you to a journey where you need to know what kind of a person you are as opposed to what the problem you are facing. Often, as analysts, we focus too much on the business situation and not oneself. We always look outwards but not inwards. Now, this is the fight between the analytical view and the intuitive view, and hence the first topic of our conversation of the four sessions, because this is what the most senior analysts are facing. Also, one of the reasons why analysts quit their job is this. So let's talk about this organization. I'm sure we all have heard of this brand name called Gap. It's a famous apparel brand. In October 2010, they came up with a new logo. The logo that you see on the right hand side with a small blue square on the alphabet P. So this was a logo that was actually crowdsourced. I hope everybody here knows the meaning of the word crowdsourcing, right? So thousands of designers co-created this logo, and this one was voted the maximum. Now, even before Gap could make this logo public or announce it officially, they made a Facebook update. And they said, hey guys, thank you for participating in the crowdsourcing activity. This is the logo that you know, we are about to make official, the most highly voted, blah, blah, blah. And let me show you the analytics after that. This is the sentiment analysis that you see on your screen right now. That shows 67% of people hated the new logo. While it was crowdsourced, maybe the crowdsourcing happened between designers, but when it went to larger public, 67% of people did not like it. 25% people liked it, and 8% didn't bother to answer the question. A lot of agencies out there, when they did the survey, said as high as 89% people didn't like the new logo. So overall, when the leadership team saw that the most highly voted logo in a certain segment is not liked by people in general. So my question is, if you were the chief marketing officer or the CEO or whatever of this organization, what would you do? Would you go ahead with the new logo which people are not liking, or would you go back to the previous one which you have retained for 100 years or so? What would you do? The new logo or the previous one? Okay. Most of you guys are saying previous one, which is also obvious because it seems that people are not liking the new logo. So why? Just fine, absolutely fine. So let me tell you what Gap actually did. They then announced in public that thank you so much for participating in survey, but most of the people want us to retain the previous logo. So thank you so much, blah blah blah. And then it's okay. They're sticking back to the previous logo. So a lot of people liked it, then again people shouted, but so on and so forth. Rashida is saying new logo. Sometimes change is important. Eventually people will like it. Maybe Rashida. So I agree with you. Maybe if you were the chief marketing officer, you would have gone ahead, which is absolutely fine. But sometimes, you know what? It also, when we are not in the situation and we are doing post-mortem analysis when the case study has happened, the analysis and the response becomes very different. Imagine when the news channels everywhere in the world are talking about your logo and the failure of it, and then you are in the world is waiting for an announcement for your organization from your organization, and you are the decision maker. The decision we take then can be very different from the decision we can now say. But I definitely take your response that you would like to go ahead, and that may be a brilliant move in terms of marketing. Great. Now exactly 1 month later, something like this happened. I don't know how many of you remember this, but Airtel changed the logo to the one that you see on the right hand side in November 2010. And the analysis of people was not very different. I'll show you the sentiment analysis. This is the summary, where 62% of people were negative, only 6% said positive things about the brand and the logo change. Many celebrities tweeted against it. Back in 2010, the Airtel network was not very good, like it is today. And it says, Dear Airtel, like the new logo, ad and tune. Now please focus on your core competency, fix the network. And in fact, a lot of people on Facebook have also mentioned, in fact, they could correlate the two case studies and they said they have almost gapped. I mean, they were relating that how these people are also saying they're almost gapped. The same issue that Gap faced. in a month's time. Now, if I would have asked you guys, just like in the Gap case study, you guys have, would have recommended going back to the previous logo, but we all know what Airtel did. Airtel went ahead with a new one, right? Despite a lot of bloggers out there making fun of their logo, that's a copy paste of Videocon and Vodafone and whatnot. And when they announced that they've spent 300 crores in rebranding activity, there was even more anger in the consumer base. And not only that, I don't know how many of you remember, they had a very amazing signature tune done by A.R. Rahman. It's very famous, in fact, most downloaded audio ever on the internet. Uh, and they went ahead and changed it. So, Debu, I am completely against saying that we can't compare these two case studies. So, Debu is saying Gap had heritage, but in case of Airtel, I guess it was okay for Airtel. And I'm still saying the same thing, Debu, that it's easier to make comments of these two organizations and saying that we can't compare the two. But I must tell you, these two are very similar organizations, similar target audience, similar scale, and I am saying it's an apple to apple comparison. And even if they are different, we are talking about a situation which is similar, where one leadership team went ahead with their gut feel or their intuition, and the other believed in numbers. And you know what, Debu? There was this another case study, which means this case study which was done was on the analysts, on how did they analyze the two case studies. And let me show you. Look at this. When they were asked, what would you do when if you were the chief marketing officer of this organization? Can you see this? 90%, okay, if we ignore those people who couldn't make a decision, that can't say category, if you could remove that, almost 90% of people, look at the green color bar, said that, let's go back to the previous logo. Only 10% said let's go to the new logo. All right, these are, by the way, seasoned analysts out there who understand consumer behavior. Now, if you look at the breakup of males versus female, isn't that exciting? Most exciting thing in the graph is that people who wanted us to go back to the previous logo, most of them were males and very little of them were females, as opposed to those who said, let's go to the new logo, most of them were females. Does it also tell us something about males and female part, or does it also tell about whether you are more intuitive or analytical in nature? Depends on your gender also. Does it also mean that females are less of analytical and more of following their heart, as opposed to males who are mostly following on numbers? So based on who you are, based on what your mindset is the decision dependent on, and not what the situation is, Debu. Now, Debu is saying, by the way, I like the Airtel change in logo. So, Debu, that's fine. If you have an opinion about the change in logo, then you are one of the respondents. So please answer the survey question. But when you are on the other side analyzing what people have responded, you keep your opinions aside and analyze with no biases. You can't say, hey, I like the logo and hence I am supporting this audience. Now the question comes, why am I telling you about these two stories today? Why? What's the reason? The reason is simply this, is that there is a leadership team out there or an organization who decided to go ahead against numbers, and there is those organizations where they go with the numbers. And if I were to do a comparison of similar organizations, you will find that there are organizations who are successful on both sides of the fence. Then why is analytics ever required? If eventually it is a matter of self and not the situation or the responses or the analysis of your activities, and people are successful on both sides of the fence, then why do we analyze is the question. Now, this point brings me to another very important concept, is that how do we look inwards and when do we look inwards for answers, and when do we believe in analytics, in what situations? Before even we come any closer to web analytics, we must understand the word analytics, right? So how many of you have heard of this statement? It's not the job of my customers to know what they want. Who said this? Any guesses? It's not the job of my customers to know what they want. It's my job to tell them what they want. Okay. So if you guys don't know, Steve Jobs said this. So I don't know. So I am not a fan of this guy. So I am not saying that he is a guru or somebody, but somebody who made his organization in top 10 brands in the world in no time would have had some metal, right? Now, if you read his autobiography or maybe watch his movies, he explains this concept, why he runs away from analyzing things. Because he says life is too short for analyzing, and believing in what people want from you. It's too short. You do what you do. So he said, if I would have asked people what they want, they would have asked for, maybe a incrementally better phone. Now, as some people would like to put it, that if Steve Jobs would have analyzed on what is missing in existing phones, he would have probably launched another phone with a 1 kilometer Bluetooth range. That's what people want. We want more of this, more of that, as opposed to new of this, new of that. And very similarly, this guy said, if I would have asked people what they want, they would have said faster horses. And Henry Ford made the first car. So he said, okay, imagine if Henry Ford, let's go back in time. If Henry Ford is one of us in this batch today, and he can also type in the chat window. And if he is asking us, hey guys, how do you want to commute faster from point A to point B? And probably I would have told him, make a high protein fiber food for my horses. I mean, they should run faster. I could have never told him make a car, because see, as they also say that if you were to make a job description for a customer, I mean, it's funny, you make job description for employees. If ever you were to make a job description for a customer, you would write, they should buy my product, they should give me all the money I want them from, and they should be satisfied with my product and should make their friends buy my product. We will never write that they should give me ideas of new product, because that's the job of my product team, isn't it? Or it's my job as a business. So if it is not their primary job, why in the world do we base our new product offering or services or brands based on what public opinion is? Because they only have his opinion. So this is one of my favorite slides where I can understand that it is difficult to digest that somebody who's going to talk about analytics for the next 3.5 sessions is talking against analytics. I'm not talking against analytics. I'm just saying you should know when to move towards analyzing things based on who you are and based on whom you are surrounded with, your boss, your clients, your colleagues, your customers. You will choose a certain situation and you will behave differently, and it will never depend on the kind of situation you are in. It's based on who you are. You will finally find a career for yourself. Most entrepreneurial organizations are intuitive. How many of you have heard of this organization called Zappos? Have you heard of Zappos before? Zappos. No one? Okay. So Zappos was the first e-commerce company on this planet to start selling shoes online. The founder of this company, I think his name is Tim or Tony, I don't remember his name. Now imagine Tim would have asked us, hey Shivam, hey Debu, hey Rashida, okay, Tony, Rashid, I say, would have asked us, I want to now start selling shoes online. We would have all laughed at him if he's doing a survey from us and analyzing customers' response. We can justify them, why it will not work. We will say that, people need to try 100 times. They need to have show the shoes to their loved ones before they start buying it and blah, blah, blah. Zappos went on to becoming the most successful e-commerce company in the world, the only company to have maximum cash surplus and could afford an office in Las Vegas, could offer ESOPs to their organizations like never heard before, and so on and so forth. It was the most expensive acquisition by Amazon ever, even more expensive if they could buy a Flipkart today. So I'm just saying that if Tony would have analyzed things or gotten into this business of analyzing people, then would have never started Zappos, right? So the first school of thought I want you to keep in mind is that respect those who don't believe in analytics. Because if they don't believe in analytics, they believe in something else, most probably themselves. In many boardrooms with my clients, we've had long discussions about what numbers say, but especially the founders of those organizations believe in certain things and they say, Satyam, okay, all of this is fine, but we are going to do exactly opposite of what you recommended. And I'm absolutely fine with that. Now, we've been using the word analytics, but what it absolutely is. It's a custom to read Wikipedia definition, but let's skip it for a while. It's session one on analytics, so let's define it. And in order to define it, I want to tell you a small story about this vegetable seller. This is a photograph I took from my phone long back. It is not a new photo. So this vegetable seller used to come down to my street when I used to live in North India. I was living in Gurgaon a few years back. So people in this batch who are from outside of India, I must tell you, there is something called as hawkers. I'm sure it is there in most of the countries, where these people come in residential areas, shout out in their typical voices so that the ladies of the house would come down and buy vegetables or fruits or whatever they're selling from these guys. I'm sure this is a very common phenomenon. I don't know how it is happening in apartments these days. Do they come, do they not? But it's a regular affair, business affair. Uh, so this guy used to come to our street, and sometimes I, along with my mom, used to buy vegetables from this guy. And one day he just stopped coming to our street. But of course, he was not the most important person in our lives. We started buying vegetables from other vendors. Until one fine day, I found him in some other street. And I walked up to him and I said, in fact, we exchanged greetings in the language we are comfortable in, which is Hindi. And I asked him that, buddy, why did you stop coming to our street? And then he smiled. He said, please don't mind, but customers in your street are not good customers. And in fact, we both laughed after that. He said, including you, your mom, and all the other people who buy vegetables in your street are not good customers. And I asked him, why do you say so? He said, people haggle a lot in your street. And this lower middle class or middle class families, they want negotiations over 1 rupee, 2 rupee, 50 paisa, extra coriander, chilies. And even if I honestly price my vegetables, people don't value that. They always want discounts. And I said, that's absolutely fine. I mean, that's a regular business affair. So why don't you pump the prices up and then give discounts? It's a win-win situation for you and for them. You get the price you want by asking maybe a little extra and then giving discounts. That's what everybody does. So then he said, it's not only about the negotiations part, it's also about time. He then explained that on my cart, everything is perishable. I need to sell everything by end of the day. And I need to cover more sale points as opposed to sell at a single sale point and do this haggling business. At a certain point in time, when I was having this conversation with him, I realized maybe he's a weak businessman because these are regular, casual business problems that everybody will have to face. I don't know maybe why he has moved from our street to other streets. Then I asked him another question. I said, isn't the situation similar here in the new street? I mean, aren't people haggling here in the new street? And then he smiled again at me. He pointed towards a big bungalow and some fancy cars SUV and Mercedes was standing there. And he said, I thought if people here could afford bigger houses and fancier cars, they will haggle less. Moreover, other vegetable vendors believe that since people here are very rich, they will buy from these Grofer app and go to mall to buy their weekly vegetables. They will not be comfortable buying from a hawker, but that's not the case at all. They buy very comfortably from me. In fact, the ladies of the house couldn't care less about the prices. Sometimes at double that price, triple the price. They don't care. They just come and buy without any haggling. In some houses, there are servants and maids who again couldn't care less about the prices. And therefore, I'm making double the money in half the time and I'm spending that extra time with my kids at home. Now, the moment I heard this story, what went on in my mind is what this school dropout guy has done. He has executed sophisticated marketing analytics techniques, including customer profiling, demographic segmentation, understood the consumer and the competition behavior, identified himself as a wonderful value provider. It's a wonderful, wonderful value provider in that business. Now, now the story didn't end there, by the way. We sat down, had a couple of tea together in a nearby store, and I thought if I could do it in my business, if analytics, we have fancified it a lot, but it looks like common sense. Why are we saying tools and all of that? But it is so simple. So, so going on, what I also really, in fact, I was also reading a BCG white paper those days about analytics, where this concept of firefighting to strategy came up, and this guy taught me how. So earlier, so he actually said one more thing I missed telling you. He said there are a lot of people in my village where I come from are idle. They're mostly farmers, landless farmers. They sow, but they have a lot of time before they harvest. They sit idle there. I'm thinking of calling them to the city. This cart hardly cost 4,000, 5,000 bucks. I'll help them buy it and probably divide streets because this rich people society is so big I can't cover them all. So I'll ask my cousins to come and start selling here. In fact, I'm also thinking of coloring my cart yellow in color and put my phone number so that if anybody wants vegetables in odd hours, I can deliver. Now, what he has moved on, imagine he was struggling to sell vegetables in my street. By taking one decision carefully, he is now thinking of hiring, branding, and marketing and sales strategy. Now, somebody who's a hawker on the street, has moved from firefighting to a strategic position to making decisions. Now, what is firefighting in our business? Firefighting is, we do all the things that keep us busy. We have to, in fact, somebody said, I'm always short of time, right? Why do we say that in advertising business? Because that's what business is. And I want to point that out, that go slow, guys, go slow, because only when you are slow, you can think of a strategy. Now, this guy moved towards slowness. I would not say he went slow. By analyzing his business, he moved out from the firefighting situation, which is, you know, think of that Facebook advertisement you are running, send an email to a million people, and you need to run an AdWord campaign. Look at how many people are coming on the site, what percentage of people are buying things on my site, and all of those will give you sleepless nights. As opposed to zooming out a little of your business and seeing the larger picture and employing a strategy so that you are out of firefighting, like this vegetable seller. That's what analytics lets us do, or lets us move towards that slowness and strategyness. Now, you may say that, hey, all of this story is fancy because it is such a small business. I absolutely understand that. One cart, one small business, one store, or one product. It's easy to be flexible and change strategies on a daily basis, right? Moving from one street to another is easier when you compare it with moving Walmart from US to India, right? It's an expensive decision. I absolutely agree. And I also agree that when businesses grow big, the way of execution changes. So let's talk about large scale businesses which we may be associated with those businesses. So these blue dots represent Walmart stores in the country of US. Let's talk about scale. How let's get comfortable with the word scale. We're talking about 9,000 stores and counting, 10,000 to 100,000 products or stock keeping units, and 1 million transactions per hour. I mean, if you want to find out average invoice value of last one day or one week, your Excel sheets will fail. Most of the tools will fail, right? Imagine if Walmart needs to do predictive analytics. Okay, does anyone here know what predictive analytics mean? Now, coming to our scope. Okay, so predictive, as the word itself says, you predict what the user may want next. So, for example, when you're watching a YouTube video, okay, now let's talk about web examples, right? When you're watching a YouTube video, on the right hand side, you also see videos you may want to watch next, and they're mostly right, by the way. That's how your user experience becomes better. Or when you go to Flipkart or Amazon, they say people who bought this also bought that. They're predicting what you may want next based on other people's behavior who behaved like you. And that's how people, okay, artificial intelligence is different, Debu, but this is just simple permutation combination. So, Debu, have you seen this happening in Indian stores also in Big Bazaar and these pantaloons and everything? uh, they usually bundle a few products together and they say sale running on these three products. So maybe those toiletries, right? One Vim bar and one something and something, these three things together you can buy together. It is because they know that people often buy these things together, so why don't we bundle it? That comes from analytics. Or people who walk into Walmart to buy egg and milk are most likely to buy bread also. And hence all three products will be kept closer to each other at a same eye level shelf to be purchased together. This happens by analyzing a lot of line items in an invoice. The things which are bought together should be kept together. How many of you have heard of this case study, which is diapers and beer can case study? Have you heard of it before? Okay, it's a very interesting case study. Google about it. It says that people who go buy diapers, especially in the Western world, they also pick up beer cans. And people who go to buy beer cans pick up diapers. Isn't that amazing? I mean, absolute no correlation. But when you listen to the statement, you feel like, hey, there is a correlation. Because while infants are at home and mothers are taking care of them, the fathers go out, and when they go out to buy diapers, they also buy beer cans. Or if they go out to buy beer cans, they pick up diapers. And hence, if these two products are kept closer to each other, and if customers of one also pick up the other, the sales have gone up by 1 to 2.5% of both the products if you just keep them closer to each other. And 1 to 2.5% would mean a 5 digit number in dollars for any store. So, analytics, by the way, now you know where to use it, connecting the dots with the previous concepts, is that analytics helps you in incrementally improving the business. While if you want to transform industries to start from horses to cars or from dial pads to touch screens, analytics don't help. Incremental improvements is what analytics do, and which is very healthy. Now look at Tesco, 1 million units home delivered, 35 million club card members. So if you just open your wallet right now, how many lifestyle cards and Levi's cards and loyalty cards that you hold? Loyalty for retail stores is a myth, is an absolute myth, but still these stores give out those cards. Why? Because they are not as fortunate as vegetable sellers. Because by looking at my face, that vegetable seller will tell me how much discount am I eligible for. Unless they swipe your card into the machine, they will not know who you are. You are just a number and what offers you are eligible for and how many points do you have in your account and blah blah blah. And therefore you need analytics for all of that. Numbers are big for our e-commerce counterpart as well. And I agree, when businesses grow big, we can't deal with so much of data. We need computing power that these businesses can then analyze, and hence the word analytics. Making it simple, this is the Wikipedia definition. You may want to ignore it, that's fine. It says analytics allows us to use sophisticated statistical algorithms and leverage computing power to explore, analyze, understand the data of the business, to generate insights from it, answer questions we may have, and discover any hidden patterns. All this to make better business decisions. I mean, you may ignore it. I mean, this is a Wikipedia gibberish definition. What you should not ignore is this amazing scientist. His name is Walden Matthews. And he says, I recently discovered that science is the art of cutting, as is analysis. Everything else is something else. Analysis is science of cutting things into pieces, period. Now we are defining it. So if you are imagining a paper and a pair of scissors and you are cutting it, that's exactly what analysis is. And to explain it further, he comes out with a brilliant, funny, and interesting example. He says if you want to cut anything into pieces, you need an objective. Otherwise, you'll keep cutting here and there and you don't know what you're cutting. So he says that look at this data on your screen right now. He plotted some fruits on x-axis on how easy they are to eat versus how difficult they are to eat. And therefore you see seedless grapes and pomegranates and pineapple on the other side. On y-axis they are placed on how tasty or not so tasty they are to eat. Now if you have an opinion that hey, bananas are not untasty, they are very tasty, it should be placed upwards, then you are giving your opinion. Keep it with you or be a respondent of the survey. But now we are analyzing this data. Assuming 1 million people have responded to this survey, and this is 99% true. Now, what is the first thing that comes to your mind as an analyst when you look at this data? Don't think too much. Think for not more than 30 seconds or 20 seconds and just type in your response to the chat window. What's the first thing that comes to your mind? Maybe you are researching on fruits. Maybe you are running a business of fruits. Maybe anything. Top of the mind response. I would appreciate if you take a call. Okay, Anupriya is saying I didn't get your question. So Anupriya, on your screen right now, there is huge data of fruits being tasty, not so tasty, easy, or difficult to eat. If you are in the fruit business, let's say, what is the first insight you derive from this data? This is just a demo data. Tomorrow you'll be shown with a lot of data from Google Analytics or many other tools. How will you read that data? This is an attempt. Okay, Shreya has said something. What about others? The tasty and easy to eat fruit are the best for my business. They'll get sold more. I should keep them in abundance. Okay. Shreya, I would say for that, I think it's insufficient data. I have not told you the sales data of these fruits, but that's okay. I understand your point of view. You're looking for an opportunity. We have Proa. Okay, is that the right spelling of your name? Cherries tend to be tasty and quite easy to eat, while grapefruit is untasty and difficult to eat. Okay, good insight. Debu says sell less fruits. Okay, seedless fruits will sell better. Okay, Shivam says which fruit the people are going to pick up first. I'll go with health point of view. Okay, all right, great. So let me now change the question for you guys. Now that's the fun. Now let's stop analyzing this data. Scroll the chat window up and read what other people have said. Ignore yours, look at what other people are saying. Anupriya wants to have a health point of view. Debu had an e-commerce point of view. Uh, Shivam had which people will pick up which fruit first, and so on and so forth. Why is it that no two people in the same batch, when looking at the same data, had so different, they had no same opinions? Each one of you are looking at same data differently. No two people in the batch have said the same thing, right? Does that mean, as they say, beauty lies in the eyes of beholder? Does that mean analyzing data depends upon who's looking at that data? All of you are looking at different things when you're looking at same data, isn't it? So Walden Matthews defines analytics as the moment you have an objective to any point of data, then the moment you do that, you will start cutting data into pieces, not only to find where to focus on, but to find that large chunk of data that you must ignore to find an answer. And that's what makes you an analyst. Now, this especially goes to those people who know a little bit about analytics. These tools throw so much of report at you, so many reports at you, that you don't know where to look at. And Walden Matthews says that reports and data have this innate characteristic of making you feel that you are going in a certain direction, but you're actually going in spirals. Data exists to confuse you. And if you continue to stare at data for long enough, it will automatically start telling you stories, but based on what situation you are in. If you are on a Friday evening looking at the same data, you will get some other insight. If you had a fight with your girlfriend or your boyfriend, it will send you some other information. If on a Monday morning you go to office and look at your title, the same data will tell you a different story. So it depends on in which mood you are. You will again go in a different kind of spiral. And hence, when you have a lot of data at hand, look into your business. Look at what problems the business is facing in. And then you navigate to the right report, find an answer, and close the dashboard. That's what Walden Matthews says. So these are the few schools of thought in the last 1 hour we have spoken about. We will hold on to navigate through in our tough situations. And now these are the three we'll always go back to: analytics versus intuition, analysis versus scale, analysis versus business objectives. If these three things, there are actually four school of thoughts. I am keeping the fourth one with me. I'll unfold it when we reach there. Every analyst, if they have confusions or no clarity in these three school of thoughts, then you are only half an analyst. You can actually do good at Google Analytics, but not at analyzing business data. So we've been using these words. We've been using these words interchangeably. Analysis and analytics. Okay, Rashida says we need a short break. All right, Rashida. So what we'll do is it's 11 o'clock. Let's spend 5 more minutes. I'm closing a topic. Um, and then we go have a good cup of coffee. We take a long break. Why a short break? And then we come back with a newer chapter. Okay. Anupriya says, so that means we look for our niche first. It only means, Anupriya, we should first look inwards for business objectives. That's all. Now, if the question you have is about the segment, then you can look for your niche. The question can be about something else. It's good to lead with questions. And let me give you an example, Anupriya. Whenever I walk into a boardroom with my client, always you will see, those MBAs like you guys will sit across the table, where one random MBA who's also a new guy in the team is wearing a tie, he'll stand up and will start presenting something on the slide. And I'm sure all of these businesses will have some analytics tool in place already. And he'll go slide by slide by slide, showing what the business data is. And then that fat boss in one corner will stand up and say, hey, you know what? We want you to help us with our business problems and help us analyze this data. Can you help us? Now, this is how the situation always starts. And let me tell you, 8 out of my 10 meetings end exactly where I asked, what is the objective of this meeting of hiring me? What is the objective of your business? The moment I ask such questions, people look at each other's faces. They absolutely don't know what to do. Believe you me, ask your marketing team when you go to office tomorrow, or ask yourself while you're doing MBA, what's the objective? I mean, if you have not clearly defined it, I don't know what you're measuring. I don't know why you're hiring an agency for. So the questions at different situations in your business are different. If you ask them, lead with the questions, you will have the right answer shortly, because answers are easy to find, questions are not. So that's all. That's what Walden Matthews says. So now coming to the word we have been interchangeably using, analysis and analytics. Are they different? Analysis is when you do the breaking of tearing of things to understand them. So for example, the definition says the process of decomposing complex things into simpler things is called analysis. Vegetable seller did that. He didn't use any tool. He knew this is not working, we should go there. Analytics is when you use technology to do exactly that and build in the capacity with the tool or technology that helps you make decisions for the future, which means it sometimes also predict. Now the prediction may be wrong, that's separate. But analytics, probably they've used the word, added the word T there because of the word technology. I don't know. I'm not the right person. But analytics analysis differs by the use of technology and future decision making. At this moment, I am adding the word web against the word analytics, and hence coming to our scope. If you ask a random somebody walking on the street, okay, a random intelligent somebody walking on the street, what is web analytics? The answer will be very simple: to understand the behavior and motivations of people who come on my website, which is right, not a wrong definition, but an incomplete definition. Web analytics not only means to understand the motivations and behavior of those users who come to your website or web presence, but also to understand the impact of your website on them. So it's both ways. It's not only what they want to do, it also how you are designed is impacting their behavior. So let's take a few examples here. So for example, one of my client who's a content website. Okay, who's a content website? Content websites are those which don't have any products to sell but content to read, and they're selling the readership to their advertisers. For example, ndtv.com, timesofindia.com, Mashable, the Better India, and so on and so forth. So one of my client who had around 4 million sessions a day, we were having a long discussion about, once users finish reading an article, what should we show to them next? Now that's an important question we didn't have an answer to. So somebody said in their team, we should show them related articles. Somebody said we should show them non-related, completely unrelated content. Somebody said we should show them comments. And somebody said we should show them the most controversial comments. And somebody said we should show them ads. Or somebody said something. I'm saying, who will tell us or what will let us know the right balance of each? Or so that it doesn't impact our bottom line and also doesn't impact the engagement on the website, so on and so forth. Web analytics is the answer to that question. How will unfold in the next few sessions. Now, if we were to understand the impact of website, let's take an example again. Now, one of my friend who runs a cafe in Hyderabad, this is a real story, said that, if I want to become the most famous cafe in Hyderabad, then I need to care about three things. One is amazing customer service. Two, great tasting food. Three, cleanliness and hygiene. If I do these three things, people will queue up. And that's what happened. He's running a very successful business in Hyderabad, where if it is an evening time, people have to wait to get their turn to the table. Now, it is absolutely fine. So, what he has done already when he is making that statement, he has already understood the consumer behavior because he himself is a consumer to other cafes, right? Where he said, if these three things are there, the consumer will behave as per I want them to behave. They will come line up because they value cleanliness, taste, and health and service. Now, at this moment, when we were having a discussion, we said, okay, you're running a great business, but let's see if there is any scope of further analytics. And we started analyzing data of restaurant or this cafe. We found an amazing insight that there is that one table in the restaurant that has given us 33% of restaurant's revenue, which was hidden. Even he didn't know it. Only after we analyzed his table occupancy and the revenue from each table and so on and so forth, we realized that there is this one table in the restaurant that gives us one third of the revenue. Now that's a wonderful insight because now you know that if there is one customer in the restaurant, even in the orders, which table should that person be occupying, or which is that one table which should be always occupied. And then we can find later on justifying that, this friend of mine believes in all those Vastu Shastra and all of that, Feng Shui. And he says, maybe there is something so good in this table, maybe the wood is blessed and maybe that. So you can all do that justification later on. And if by the way you find the right reason behind that revenue, you may want to replicate that on other tables. But the fact remains for a certain XYZ reason, this table is working for you. Now that's an insight. Now, this is what Google Analytics want to offer you, by the way, that some things that you were not aware of. Now, in simple terms, and we're going to take a break after this, or Web Analytics tells you, Sandeep, can you hear me now? Or I hope the voice is okay for all the others. Okay. So Web Analytics tells us where in the world are users coming from on my digital presence. It also tells what content are they or what product are they liking the most or the least, which type of content they like to read the most or the least. How am I acquiring them? Am I acquiring them via social media, email, AdWords, banner ads, or whatever? And are they really doing what I want them to do? Google Analytics is one such tool that helps us do web analytics. There are many other tools, but Google Analytics is an odd one out. It provides a lot of insights for free. 95% of businesses on this planet are using free version of Google Analytics. The rest 5% market is in the paid segment where Adobe is there, Google Premium version is there, Sitecore, Alexa, Crazy Egg, many other tools are there. That competes in the 5% segment. Uh, but in fact, you can also solve at least 80 to 90% of your business problems with this free Google Analytics version. We can continue talking more about more examples on how if I have a website, I exactly know what this person wants, as opposed to if somebody walks into my showroom, their behavior and motivations are largely a mystery. I don't know which all competitors have they already visited while they're visiting to see my Mercedes in my showroom, and I don't even know their budget. As opposed to when they come on my site, I make them compare a few cars or make them play a game so that I exactly know what their budget is based on what they choose. So that when I give them a test drive, I exactly know what sales pitch to make. Are they looking for engine power? Are they looking for luxury? Are they looking for safety? Are they looking for family legacy? I at least know what is the motivation behind buying a Mercedes Benz. Not always people buy because it's luxury. And so on and so forth. Now, at this moment, I just want to take a step back and see what we have achieved in last 1 hour 16 minutes. I am hoping that we now understand the world of analytics a little better. We know analytics better than what we knew an hour back. We understand what web analytics by definition means. It has a little more clarity. When people said analytics means statistics, we are mostly talking about examples and stories. We're talking about how vegetable seller ran a business better with common sense. And can we replicate that in our business by using a few tools? So with the hope that now you know analytics 1% better than what you knew before this 1 hour, we take a break. We take a good long break because we have to prepare our coffee and also have it. Don't have tea because coffee goes well with analytics. Okay, I'm just joking. So have a good cup of coffee. We will meet at 11. It's okay, round off. Let's say it's 11:20. Let's meet at 11:45. So 25-minute break. Is that okay? We meet at 11:45 a.m. IST. And once we come back, guys, we are going to spend at least an hour or so. Okay, we'll not push ourselves for 1:30 or, sometimes it becomes over, Gyani. We're going to talk about those terms in analytics that we thought we know, but we actually don't know them well. And they are sometimes, bust our myths in digital marketing domain as well. So now we are getting narrower and narrower towards web analytics and picking up those keywords that every web analyst or a digital marketer must know, without which you can't survive, and maybe clarifying some definitions. So hang on, come back after the break in time at 11:45 and have a good cup of coffee. See you guys. Have fun until then. Enjoy. Bye bye. Hey guys, I hope all of us are back. It's 11:45. Am I audible to you guys? Hopefully, yes. All right, great. So, hope you guys had a nice break. Now, from here onwards, let's spend around an hour or a little more than that towards understanding those keywords that every analyst must know. We will start with the simple ones first, and then we'll go towards the complicated ones, the ones which are a little hazy, the definition was never so clear. And yeah, that's about it. That's the good key takeaway for today's session. So let's start with the simple ones first. Something as simple as who is a visitor or a user on our site? Very simple to understand. Let's say Debu comes to my home. He knocks the door or rings the bell, and I open the door. The first thing we do that comes very naturally to humans or even animals is to introduce each other, right? We must first know each other to have that bond between us. So after exchanging those greetings, if I let Debu in, which hopefully I will, he becomes a visitor to my house. In the digital world also, the situation is same. I know that in the digital world, we often keep talking about IP address as a unique identifier for each person and blah, blah, blah. All of that is fine. But always remember that the user on your website is a person in flesh and blood. He can speak, he can understand, he can listen, he can read. He's a real person. Now, when a visitor comes inside my house, a visit begins, which means after Debu comes inside my house, he can actually sit on the couch, switch on the TV. He can also go to the balcony, go to the kitchen, go to the loo, and various. He has now access to everything inside my house. Now, the sum total of all of these interactions that Debu will do inside my house is called a visit. Then only I can say Debu paid a visit to my house. In a very similar fashion, when Debu goes to digitalvidya.com or the digital house of some organization, a visit begins. And then the sum total of all of those activities, for example, opening a page, going from one hyperlink to another, downloading a PDF, playing a YouTube embedded video, signing up for a form, all of those will comprise of a visit. And probably reading and giving comments or liking, sharing, all of that is a visit. In the digital world, however, a visit is a little different. Now, in the physical world, the visit ends when Debu will leave my house. In the digital world also, when Debu leaves digitalvidya.com, exit the browser or the website, the session ends or the visit ends. But in the digital world, session also has a few other things we have to keep in mind, which are a session ends if you are on a website for 30 minutes and you're inactive on the site for 30 minutes, the session automatically ends. Let's say Debu is surfing through digitalvidya.com and then he gets a phone call. It's a long phone call, maybe his wife is calling, and it's a 45-minute call. After the call, he comes back, sits in front of his laptop, and starts surfing from exactly where he left. For him, nothing changes. It's the same seamless experience. He'll click on another hyperlink, go to some other page, but in the back end, it will be counted as the second visit of the same visitor because for 30 minutes he was inactive on the site. Now, there are certain websites in which even if the person is on the website for 30 minutes, actively engaged, the content cannot be consumed within 30 minutes. For example, a 40-minute YouTube embedded video on some of my web pages, for example. So while once you have played that YouTube embedded video, it's your YouTube player that is playing and your website is inactive. I mean, you're not playing around with the website. And in 30 minutes into the video, the session will end. However, in reality, the user is still in active, session with the website. It's just that only the YouTube player was playing. The user is still active. In such cases, you may want to change the session inactive time from 30 minutes to, let's say, 45 minutes or so. That's very easy. So it lets you change the time from anywhere between 1 minute to 4 hours. The third is the session also ends when the midnight clock strikes. So Debu went to digitalvidya.com, let's say at 11:55 p.m. and continues to surf till 12:05 a.m. So while it's a single session from Debu's perspective, in the backend it will be counted as two. A session ends a moment before midnight and a session began a moment after 12. Now, why did they do this? 24 hours and 30 minutes. So it's not required. But long back, I think in early 2000s, a lot of SEO agencies were creating this menace where they had some bots or some people who were active on your site just to increase the average session duration time on your website. There were some websites in the early 2000s where average session duration went up to as high as 7 days or 6 days because they had an assumption then that if your average session duration time is high, then your SEO rankings will be better, your search rankings will be better. And hence all this stupidity happened. And hence they had an upper cap that every night, midnight, your session will have to end. Now, once that happened, all of these websites had an upper limit of 24 hours of session duration time. Everybody strived for getting 24 hours. But after that, this 30-minute thing also came that if you are on a website but not doing anything for 30 minutes, which means clicking here and there, scrolling down and up does not count for interaction unless otherwise coded for, like a Facebook or an infinite load. But if you're on digitalvidya.com, scrolling up and down will not account for activity. So in such a case, this 30-minute cap was also kept of inactivity. Now today, this keeps in check the SEO agency's stupidity. that most of these agencies are now. So now the average session duration is come down to what it really should be, around 5 minutes to 7 minutes, as long as possible. So this is session and also called as user. Many tools still continue to use the word visitor and visit. Google Analytics, however, has moved towards user and session from 2016 December. Earlier, they were using visitor and visit as a definition. Now comes another interesting topic called cookies. I would like to hear from you guys what cookies mean to you. Not something that we eat, but what do you think cookie is in your own language? If you don't know, you can say I don't know, but for those who know, can make an attempt. Would anyone like to try? Okay, Anupriya doesn't know what cookie is. They are links by web pages on user. Ragya says unwanted files. I can completely understand that, Ragya, because we all remember deleting cookies. Don't know where it is used. It's temporary stored data. Shivam says they're supporting files or a web page to load. You're talking about cache. Processing collects our data. Okay. Okay. Good attempt. So, guys, cookies. Okay, let me go back to. Okay, how many of you have observed this? That usually on a web page, the hyperlinks are blue, italics, and underlined. But when you click on them, they change their color to purple. Have you observed this? Does it happen to you? So every time you have clicked something, does that mean that somebody is spying on you? That they are keeping a track of what all links have you been visiting? Okay. Now it is also the same files which you keep on deleting by going to your settings, and sometimes your surfing experience gets slower, so you delete them. Of course, we all know about those cookies. But before I tell you what cookies really are and what they do, let me ask you a question, and I want all of your attention here, and I want an answer. If you don't know, you can sign up and say, no, I don't know. What is the fundamental difference between inbound marketing and outbound marketing? Can somebody tell me that? I repeat the question. What is the fundamental difference between inbound and outbound marketing? We have 16 participants. Let's see how many of you attempt an answer. Debu is saying in inbound is about getting people to the site. Okay, very safe answer, but I was expecting how do you get inbound visitors to your site? But that's fine. I got your point, Debu. Any other attempts? Rajesh, Rashida, Kritika, Keyur, what do you think? Keyur is saying outbound is traditional marketing. Rashida is saying outbound is a traditional way by media and newspaper. So what is inbound then? Anupriya is saying pull techniques to attract customer. What are those techniques, Anupriya? Inbound is digital. Uh, no, Anupriya. If I'm sending an email to 1 million newsletter subscribers, that is digital, but is that inbound? Inbound is getting customers through social media. Okay. Rashida says, whereas inbound is through internet where customers find you through search engine. Anupriya says, all digital activities we make to get our users, to get our users. Okay, fine. Good. So simply put, many people, in fact, Debu also attempted, is where uh, the difference can be summarized in push versus pull. Outbound, as the name itself says, you go out there in the public domain to attract people. Including pushing social media updates, including sending emails, including SMSs on WhatsApp, including TV channels and everything. It's all push. There are many digital things also, but they're all push. Inbound is considered as pull. Now, the inbound industry itself has managed to have a very wrong definition in our minds, which sounds like pull, but it is actually not pull. So we have packaged push into a pull, and we are spending money and effort there. So, so if you look at this, the way Bollywood dialogues are, if you love somebody, let them go. If they come back, then they are your love. Otherwise, they are not. So that exactly is what inbound is. Exactly what our marketing departments have forgotten. It's like the love-hate relationship between your organizations and your potential customers or customers. So let's say that I throw a party at home and all of you come over, but I make this good bond between myself and Rajesh, for example, and we connect with because of the same interest we have. We both love soccer, we both love politics, we both love economics, and our conversations go on, and I love to be friends with him. Now I want to make that bond with Rajesh, with none of you, but only with Rajesh. So I now want Rajesh to come back to my house eventually, and we should become friends. I can do many things to do that, right? One is send him emails, message him, call him, send him missed calls or WhatsApp messages. That's outbound and very irritating, as Rajesh himself said. It is interruption based marketing. Now, inbound marketing is permission based. I mean, that's also a very subtle way of putting it wrongly. Is that once you have taken permission from the user that yes, you can send me messages, then you do push. It's called pull. No, it's not called like that. Though many books will make you feel like that. But inbound marketing, when you package it like a pull, then a lot of people think of content, SEO, search engines. That when Rajesh looks out for search for good friends, then Satyam should appear on the top. Something like that, because now Satyam wants to be friends with Rajesh. So what we can do, what we have been doing as organizations in the name of inbound marketing, is that we write enough content out there so that whenever Rajesh searches about me, there are some 10 results all about me, then he clicks and come. But is it called pull? You have done enough content pushing to 20 different websites to attract one person. Why don't you just write content for that person as opposed to writing for 200 blogs, so that you can attract somebody who's reading those blogs as opposed to writing content for the person? Then we say that our SEO efforts are inbound, but SEO is a lot of effort. You do a lot of push there. You have to hire an agency, sometimes buy a tool, sometimes do some content, as they say, keyword stuffing, this, that, red hat, white hat techniques. What inbound really is that if that bond has to happen between you and your customers, it will eventually happen. You have to nurture that as opposed to create strategies and tactics to trap a customer, which our marketing teams have now started doing. So, for example, if let's say Rajesh was then after that party passing close by my house, he stops by and he says, "Hi Satyam, how are you?" And I get to know a little more about Rajesh. And then I eventually realized that Rajesh likes to eat biryani and he likes to talk about politics and he also likes a certain kind of music. Now, the third time when Rajesh comes, I've already prepared the right biryani for him. The right music of what he likes is going on. And then I that day realized he likes to eat biryani when he sits in balcony. So the seventh time when he comes, there is already a good chair in the balcony with where we have the nice view. And the 50th time when Rajesh is coming, he feels like it's not Satyam's home. It feels like it's Rajesh's home. Now, inbound is always and always adjusting self so that customers find comfort as opposed to pushing a lot of content out there so that whenever somebody searches and then they come because there's a lot of push of content that has already happened. How can you call it a pull? Now, in truest of its definition, Amazon did inbound marketing strategy or executed this very well in 2009, I believe, around a decade back. Where today, if you go to Amazon.in or Amazon.com, it will not show you the content it wants you to show. It will show you the content that you want to see. Today, if you go to YouTube.com, just open YouTube.com as I speak, you will see the videos you would like to watch on your machine. In fact, to that level, it understands you. That if I open YouTube on your machine, I can look at the videos and tell you the kind of person you are because YouTube understands you so much. So, for example, if I take you to, let's say, Amazon.in, apart, I think, from the first banner, everything else that it shows on its homepage are the products that I am is planning to anyways buy, including the helmets on the right hand side, including the Amazon Fire Stick that you see here, including the gold coins, and look at the phone covers and the books I would like to read. All of these is what I wanted. And similarly, if you open YouTube, and it not only knows what kind of a person you are, it also knows what time of the day. So if I open youtube.com on a Saturday morning, it will show me yoga related videos, versus on a Friday evening, it will show me honey sing videos. So it knows me to that level. So in this case, what has made Amazon look like my home? In this case, what has made YouTube look like my home? The content I would like to read, as opposed to what it generally would love to show. This happens with the help of cookies. This is the primary difference, that there is something called as inbound and there is something called as outbound, because you would love to utilize the information that you have about your customers to show them what they are looking for is called inbound. If you are answering this question of inbound versus outbound as pull versus push, the answer till that level is okay. But if you talk about pull is what? Search engine marketing, content writing, SEO, all of that is very well push marketing, including writing content and Facebook updates. You are pushing something out in the public domain in the hope that somebody will come. It's not pull. Now let me show you the cookies where they are in my machine. So I'm going to my browser settings. In the top here, let me just search cookies. Click on content settings and cookies. Okay. So this is where all my cookies are stored, or not stored, but shown. And if I scroll down, look at how tiny the scroll bar is. These are all those websites which I visited since I last deleted my cookies. So let me search for a cookie of Digital Vidya. I've visited their website. I deleted cookies yesterday, but they're again here. I might have visited the website again. Now, these are the locally stored cookies in my machine, which basically means every time I visit digitalvidya.com, it will update these cookies with extra information about myself. Now, let's take a step back. When Debu came to my home and he rang the bell and I opened the door, The first thing I did was asked Debu's name. I'm sure you do the same at your own place. It's very natural for us to identify each other. Similarly, when you go on internet, since this digital media called digitalvidya.com cannot ask you your name, or can ask, but you can't register it because it can't listen, it gives you a name. And this name is given by, is basically a number, sometimes an alphanumeric number, um, sometimes just the numbers. And these cookies, there are five things it tells you that UTM-A, UTM-B, UTM-C, UTM-Z, and so many more cookies it makes. Each cookie has some information about you as a user. In this case, because I went to digitalvidya.com, it stores information about me. So let's look at UTM-A. I'm not going to technically detail these cookies out, but it's important to see how they function. So I visited the site today actually. In fact, just before our session started, 9:57 a.m. because I remember deleting my cookies last evening. And this UTM-A, so UTM stands for Urchin Tracking Module. So I'm just writing that in the chat window. Urchin Tracking Module, UTM. Urchin was the name of the person who came up with this technology, this methodology of tracing people. He ran a company called Urchin Corporation, which later got acquired by Google in 2004 or 2005, don't remember. And hence today, you don't have to do any external configuration of this, it automatically works out for you. Now, UTM-A, UTM-B, UTM-C are just the names, just like your name is Keyur, Anupriya, Debu, and Satyam. It has a name called UTM-A. UTM-A is a unique identifier about who this user is. So look at this content. It has a long number separated by decimals. The first number is a number to the domain name. So this number belongs to digitalvidya.com. Then there is the second number that is the number given to the user, which means me. Now, because I deleted my cookies, or if I delete my cookies now again and I visit digitalvidya.com one more time, it will drop a new number. So every time I delete and go to the same website again, it will assume I'm a new user and will drop a new cookie with a new number. If I don't delete it and I open digitalvidya.com again anyways, then it will keep updating it with the same number. And after this, there are three big numbers separated by two decimals. These are timestamps. This is the first time I visited digitalvidya.com, date and time. This is the last but one time I visited Digital Vidya. This is the last time I visited Digital Vidya. Dot one is the number of times I visited digitalvidya.com. Now, how do I use this information? By the way, if I visit digitalvidya.com again, this number will become 2, 3, 4, 5. So plus 1 every time you visit the website. How do I use this information? So a lot of my clients, so one of my client in Delhi sells musical instruments on their site. Very famous website actually. In fact, one of the top 2, top 3 musical instrument sites in the country. Now they said that if in any given month or in last 30 days to be very specific, if a user has visited more than 15 times, that means they're actively looking out to buy something, but they're still considering. I mean, they're not really sure. But if the research is so intense that they're coming on my site 15 times in a month, please give them a pop-up, say that, you've come so many times, this is a 10% discount to, finish your purchase. So the pop-up, there are beautiful pop-up that comes on the bottom right corner without any interruption saying that, hey, it seems you love us, you have been visiting us quite often. Here is a 10% discount coupon on the current order. And this is the way many organizations, write a simple code on their website. You don't need an amazing engineer for that. It writes a code on identifying how many times the user is visiting on your site and rewards the user for the number of visits. So Anupriya, I'm waiting for your question if there is any. So every cookie has some information. So for example, UTM-Z cookie talks about how did they acquire me as a user. It says direct. So direct basically means that, okay, by the way, if I would have clicked on a Facebook ad of digitalvidya.com to go to their website, here it would have said social media, here it would have said Facebook. Right now it says direct because I entered the URL directly. So it knows how did they acquire the user. All of this information will then go to them and they will raise reports on what percentage of people are coming directly versus via search engine versus via email versus via social media. Anupriya says, if we delete cookies and then visit again, it will come as a new user, as you said. But on that particular IP address uh, will be the same, right? Then how we will become a new user for them? Okay. So to answer your question, Anupriya, if I go to a certain website, the website owner will not know my IP address. Now, this is designed for privacy concerns that if I go to anupriya.com and Anupriya knows my IP address, then a lot can happen. Therefore, these numbers are created. This is a unique number which maps to the IP address and browser combination. Now, neither that IP address is stored in the cookies nor it goes to the web administrator. But Google Analytics may know it, but is actually safe and secure. Your IP address is known, but that is not shown to anybody. Now, what happens is because you have deleted the cookie, okay, hang on. So the simple method is that you go onto the website of a certain machine or a certain company. It drops a cookie on their machine, the user's machine. That's all it does, nothing else apart from that. Next time you visit the same website, it checks whether the same cookie is there or not. It does not check whether it's the same IP or not. Especially in these days of dynamic IP addresses, it checks the cookies. And if the cookie is there, great, then it says you are a repeat user and the nth number user. But if there is no cookie or you've deleted it, it will assume because we have to now place a new cookie, you will be considered a new user, even if you've deleted it. And a new number will be positioned there. It will not map to anything unless otherwise asked for. So what does it mean? So there are certain cases, Anupriya, I'm wanting to answer your question with those examples, where even if you delete your cookies and go to the same website again, it will still know you're a repeat user. How? This happens with the capability of each website, not cookies. So let's imagine a YouTube scenario. You go to youtube.com. Now, it's not mandatory on youtube.com that you create a login ID and log in with your Gmail ID to watch videos. You can watch all the content without creating a login ID, right? Now, if you're watching all of those videos and going to YouTube very often, it will still customize your home page. But let's say if you delete YouTube cookies and then go to youtube.com, it will show you a default web page as if it has forgotten who you are. You have to start from scratch again. However, if you are logged into YouTube, everything that is stored in your cookies as a preference of who you are in your own machine is mapped to their own servers also against your login ID and password. And if you delete cookies, in fact, forget about deleting cookies. If you go to your friend's laptop where you never signed up and you go log into your YouTube with your Gmail ID and password, it will again remember you. That means it is no longer dependent on cookies alone because it is storing data on its own server. And then there are those websites where logging in is mandatory, like Facebook, where there is no content for you without your login. So even if you delete your cookies, you'll have to log in. And when you log in, the same cookie is now put in your machine and not a new one because now you're telling who you are. So let me show you Facebook cookies. You will understand it very clearly. So let me now Search for Facebook. Now, because Facebook requires logging in, it has a C underscore user cookie. This is the number. So even if I delete my Facebook cookies and go to Facebook and log in again, the same cookie will reappear here with the same content number. How? That's the number I am in their database with. So if I go to facebook.com/this number and I open this, it will take me to my account because it is linked to my profile. All right. So the only thing I want you to keep in mind with cookies is that imagine a world without cookies. If there were no cookies in the digital medium, there would be nothing called as inbound marketing, and there would be no difference between a hoarding on a flyover on a highway or a print newspaper ad or a digital medium. The only difference where you can measure and track what's happening on your website is only because of these tiny little things called cookies. We'll talk more about cookies as we go, and from there onwards, because there are more examples I would want to take from here onwards. But we have spent around half an hour on cookie already, so let's move on. Let's talk about time on site. Thanks, Anupriya, for saying that. Time on site. So now because there are cookie, it knows that for how long you were there on your site. Somebody is there on your site. Page view is another interesting concept, very important, where if you go on a digital Vidya homepage, it is page view number 1. If you go to contact us page, that is page view number 2. If you come back to homepage, that is page view number 3. And if you refresh the homepage, it is page view number 4. So every time you call for a page from the server, even if it is a refresh, is called a page view. And hence, always keep in mind that page views are always greater than or equal to the number of visits, is always greater than or equal to the number of visitors. So for example, okay, is my voice breaking for all or only for Anupriya? Okay, looks like it's for me. Okay, all right, no breaking. So, for example, if Rashida goes to digitalvidya.com on a Monday morning, on a Friday evening, and a Saturday night, is the single visitor creating 3 visits on the website. And within the Monday visit, she visited 5 pages. Friday visit, she visited 5 more. And on Saturday, she visited 5 more. So there were 15 page views, 3 visits, and a single visitor. Imagine a fission reaction. So that's how it works. And context is very important. Sometimes the same data, which looks nice, which looks okay for a certain website, depends upon whether the same content, same data is good for some others. For example, if you take, let's say on a certain website, there were 1,000 users in a month. And those 1,000 users created 6,000 sessions on the site or visits on the site. Now 6,000 is average, which means every user visited 6 times in 1 month. But that's only an average, and averages are not real. Some user might have visited 12 times, some user might have visited only once. But average comes out to be 1 user, 6 sessions. And in each user has visited 15 pages overall in a month, 15,000 page views. Looks like, hey, it's an amazing data. Website is so attractive that people are coming 6 times in a month and visiting 15 pages in a month. Isn't it good data? But depends on who is seeing this data. For example, Bestcom, which is the site where I pay my electricity bills. Now, the only thing that happens on that website is people make once in a month their payment. So if a user is coming 6 times in a month to make the payment, it's definitely not a good thing. It's very difficult for users to find or complete the transaction. They're coming 6 times in a month to finish one transaction. Or they have to view 15 pages to finish one transaction of making the payment. That means it is very difficult. You should simplify the process as opposed to any other personal blog of, let's say, rashida.com or digital vidya website, where they would like such data to come, more and more people repeating. So you have to understand whether this data, well, Bescom was one of my clients to understand their digital presence, where my client was happy that they are coming multiple times, that we are a repeat visitor website, without knowing that that's not always very healthy. You're not an e-commerce site. Next comes traffic. Now this is also very interesting, and I want your attention for 10-15 minutes, and then probably we'll finish the session. So traffic basically is the number of visits or sessions to your site, not the users. So for example, if you drive a car on the road, you take your car on the same road and you come back home via the same road. So your car was on the same road twice, in the morning and in the evening. You're contributing two to the traffic twice, not one, just because you were one car or one person. So it's the number of visits on the site uh, which contributes to traffic. Okay, Anupriya says, can we see the previous slide? This one, Anupriya, with the page views and visits. This one, time on site. Yeah, tell me if there is any question in mind. Okay. Okay. All right. Okay. So traffic, basically, we always keep hearing two bloggers talking to each other. What is the traffic do you get? So this is what traffic means. And traffic may be coming from various sources. They are referred to as paid traffic, organic traffic, direct, social media, referral, and blah, blah, blah. Now, paid and organic. So paid is when you pay to acquire those sessions on your site. You might be paying to Google AdWords to get people on your website. Organic is when they come by themselves, right? Very simple. Now, my question to all of you is this: what do you think, or what does SEO get you? Search engine optimization. Does it get you organic traffic, or does it get you paid traffic, or does it get you anything else? Organic, Shivam says. I repeat my question. What does SEO get you? Search engine optimization. Does it get you paid traffic, or does it get you organic traffic? Okay, I got three answers and all three are very different. Organic, primarily organic is the objective. Organic. So Anupriya, how are you saying it's paid? Can you tell me, please? While the rest of the class is saying organic. Anyone else who has a different opinion or a same opinion can please say that in the chat window. I'm waiting for Anupriya's answer. I guess she confused with SEM. Okay. Okay, most of you are saying organic. Well, I believe otherwise. I don't think SEO gets you organic traffic at all. So you may say that who has made Satyam a trainer? He doesn't even know SEO gets you organic traffic. So, so I would say let's revisit what SEO really is. All right. While the class says it's organic, let me put my perspective on the table. I don't believe SEO gets organic traffic. You may disagree with me, but let's take an example. Let's say that Debu wants to buy a piece of shirt. I mean, he wants to buy a shirt because he wants to go to a party tonight, and he goes to a market. I'm not talking about Amazon or Flipkart. I'm talking about real market, like a Connaught Place or a Karol Bagh or IMG Road of your city. Now, there are literally thousands of shops and lakhs of people walking around in the market. He's confused where he will get a good shirt. And he can see a lot of hoardings over in the market, everybody advertising, you get the best shirt here, etc., etc. But naturally, humans don't believe in advertisements. I don't know why. So we ask local people. So Debu goes to a local, kirana store in the corner who looks like he's there from a long time, or maybe a pan wala in the shop. And Debu says, "Buddy, can you help me find where do I get the best shirt in the market?" And that corner shop guy says, "Go straight, take the first left, second right. You will get Anupriya shirt shop or Anupriya shop. There you get the best of things you would ever want." So Devu follows the instructions and goes there, and he finds the shirt and he loved it. He bought it, and everybody loved the shirt. He went to the party. Now, over the years, Anupriya realized that a lot of her traffic is being redirected by this corner shop guy. So she decides to thank the person who's connecting customers to her. So she went to meet this guy, and Anupriya first thought maybe I'll give her cash reward. But then if she gives cash reward, it will be like any other ad, and maybe this person will start demanding money after that. Rather, let me give him something else, Anupriya says. Something that, something in kind, not in cash. By the way, I don't know whether you're already drawing parallels between digital and the physical analogy here. There was a person who wanted an information or a product or something, and there was a person who has that product or an information. And then there is a connector between these two, in this case, a corner shop guy, where the person who wanted that product searches for something. I mean, connector can be a search engine, can be a social networking site, can be a referral, can be anything. Maybe let's say if it is a search engine, throws a search result called anupriyashirtshop.com and where the transaction happens. But Anupriya, if pays to the connector, it will become an ad on the search engine, which we are not talking about right now. We're talking about SEO. So Anupriya pays in kind. So Anupriya finds that this guy is an alcoholic. So Anupriya goes to a wine shop, purchases a beautiful bottle of wine, and gives it to the corner shop guy. And this guy is delighted. He says, "Thank you so much, Anupriya. Don't worry. I'll continue to drive direct traffic to your site, to your shop. You keep giving me this bottle every weekend. I am happy." Now observe this transaction carefully. What has happened in this case is that you didn't pay to the connector directly, but you have paid to someone else who knows how to please the connector. In this case, the money is being paid to the wine shop person. And there is another mistake that has happened in this thing. Eventually, when Anupriya realizes that the connector is connecting the customer to me, somehow we all fall in the trap of pleasing the connector and we forget to please the customer. Now, the connector takes a higher role in the transaction and not the customer. Now, look at it in the digital world. That wine shop is nothing else but your SEO efforts or your SEO agency who knows how to manipulate the search engine algorithms to ensure that you're in the top 10 search results. You're anyways paying to be there in top 10 search results. It has not made you come there organically. And I'm not talking about hiring an agency or something. I'm talking about the efforts gone into doing that. So you're eventually doing a lot of work, a lot of effort, hiring people to ensure you're in top 10 search results. It's like you've paid for the non-paid version of the Google page, but not directly to Google, to somebody else. You ultimately have to pay. Or look at it differently. Okay, let's take a step back. Maybe it's a little too long analogy. What is the meaning of the word organic, by the way? Organic vegetables and organic farming and all of that is in fashion these days, but we don't understand organic traffic. Organic by itself tells it's natural. You sow a seed or plant a sapling and it learns to grow by itself. Now, if you are pulling the plant out so that it grows in a certain direction, all the weeds are taken away, or no pest touches my plant, and so on and so forth, it's definitely not organic. Organic is something that learns to grow by itself. Now, the question is, if you stop doing your SEO activities from tomorrow morning when you go to office, okay, tomorrow is a holiday, when Tuesday you go to office, ask your marketing team to stop SEO efforts. Will your traffic grow, the organic traffic grow, or will it come down? Will you improve your search rankings, or will you lose your rankings that you already have? Tell me, what do you think? If you stop doing SEO activities, will you lose your rankings or will you grow? So the answer is right here, guys. You're absolutely right. If you are doing something which you call as an organic effort, but the moment you pull your effort out, the traffic doesn't grow, then how is it organic traffic? It is absolutely not. I mean, SEO gives you everything else but organic traffic, isn't it? Can you revisit it now? Or look at it this way, maybe a third perspective. If you have something called as an SEO budget in your marketing budget, then how in the world can it be organic? It has to be paid because you have a budget for it. You're paying for it, isn't it? So let me share with you a real example. Yeah, Anupriya, you were right. But later you said you were confused, but yeah, you were earlier right. So what you see on your screen is a snapshot I have taken from Google Analytics tool of an organization which is a real estate company, which shows 55%. No, Debu, it's not like playing with words, but it's like how those SEO agencies are playing with words and making you pay them and still making you feel that you are getting organic traffic, but actually you never got an organic traffic because of that money. Yeah, the objective was to get primarily organic, but you never get it. So Anupriya, this keywords thing is one of the tactics that SEO agencies play with you. I mean, it's such a big propaganda that it'll make, if there is an anti SEO agency, it will take them maybe another 10 years to make you realize that this keyword thing is such a fad. You're wasting your time and money on that. Uh, okay, Anupriya and Debu, this is for you. If SEO agencies were such a good thing, then Google should embrace them just like they embrace other agencies, right? But every time Google comes up with this Panda update, Penguin update, I'm sure you have heard of these algorithm updates that Google does, which nobody knows the updates. These SEO agencies run for their lives, as if now they have to figure things out on how this new algorithm works to maintain their businesses. And every time they try and manipulate this existing algorithm, a new one comes. So if they were so good, then why is Google playing this, antivirus and antidote kind of a thing that every time you figure things out how things work, they change the algorithm, as if they want to run away from these SEO agencies. Absolutely. So Google is just trying to be as authentic as possible, while SEO agencies are trying to manipulate the algorithm. And the moment they manipulate the algorithm, I must tell you the search engine results are very fake. So today, if I search for something, I know the top 10 search results are those from those organizations who have managed to pay a good amount to their SEO agencies, but the real content is in page 2 or page 3. So because I am in the industry, I know, but for somebody who's not, would believe in those top 10 search results. But the real result is not in top 10. It is gone in the hands of SEO agencies. And Google is trying to bring the right results on top. So therefore an antidote and algorithm updates. They're just trying to get authentic results on top. Now let's look at this example and then I'll look at other questions that I've missed answering. So a real estate industry, by the way, if you get a 55% organic traffic, it's a very healthy thing. And this is from one of my client who is India's biggest real estate giant. And the moment I asked my client, what is your SEO budget? And I saw a frowning face because he knew where I was getting to. Now, if I share with you the last 3 working day data, okay, I got permission only to share that. So this is 3 day working data. This 55%, 26% was a 3 day data. It's not a month or a quarter data. And I asked them in last 3 days, they have spent 6.5 lakh rupees on SEO agency and the tool licensing fee. So this 55% has come because of the 6.5 lakh rupees, and their AdWords spend in the last 3 days has been 2 lakh rupees. Simple unitary mathematics tells me that the cost of acquiring organic session on this website is higher than cost of acquiring a paid search session. Isn't that shocking? Isn't that amazingly stupid at the same time that your organic session is more expensive than a paid session? It's because you never thought whether SEO really gets you organic or not. You've been paying heavily for those SEO works. And I'm not saying the situation with your business can be that bad. I'm just saying that whenever you look at organic traffic in your Google Analytics dashboard, which we are going to see starting next session, you at least be cognizant of the fact that you are paying for it. You're paying for it. Rashida says, sorry to ask, so it's like MMT gives 100 rupees in your wallet if you refer it to friends. Is it SEO? No, that's not SEO. That's just some other marketing technique of referral marketing. It's like you refer a friend, you get something. Like Uber did, refer a friend, you get a 250 rupee off. That's a referral. SEO basically means that whenever somebody searches for you, you come on the top 10 search results. That's basically SEO. Now I also understand the fact that, you know, okay, let me tell you another story, and that probably that will rest a lot of your questions. So one of my friend who started a real estate business, okay, who started around 6 months back, in a very Bangalore focused market. And he said, Satyam, all of this gyan is fine, but tell me business. If you are saying SEO is not good for me, then how will I ever come in top 10 search results? And I am competing with 99 acres, Magic Bricks, and Housing.com and whatnot. They are all doing SEO. If I don't do, I will never come, because if that's a bad thing to come on top 10 search results, they are doing it and they are on top. If I don't do it, I'll never come on top 10. And I understood his point. And I said, no more Gyan. And there was this one element we always forget, is that if Google is doing what it should do, you should be doing what you should do and forget the rest. As they say, if you do the job right, the whole universe will conspire to make you successful. So it took us around 45 days to focus our attention, to shift our attention from a connector to a user. And we stopped writing keyword stuffed articles. We stopped writing alt header tags. We stopped writing all of these images and image tags and so on and so forth. Whatever SEO suggests, I'm sure somebody will teach you that. And we started focusing on creating content which a user will appreciate and not something that an algorithm will appreciate. It took us 45 days. It took us literally 45 days to beat the biggies out there and have our search on top. And I'm not joking, because it also helped us realize that day, just because biggies are doing it does not make it right. In fact, it makes it even simpler for the small players to win the battle, because they are doing it really wrong. All you need to do is do one thing right and you'll beat the biggies like a cakewalk. Literally 45 days, man. Literally 45 days. And Google put us on top without any keyword. And I was really shocked in my own industry. These real estate industry pays a lot in SEO, by the way. I mean, millions of dollars every year, and we had beaten them hands down with no money. Anupriya says, "Will it work for every business?" So Anupriya, you do the right thing. Forget about what business you are in. Don't write for Google. Write for the user. Create content for the user, no matter which business you are in. If you are selling shoes, if you are selling whatever pillows, if you are selling mobile phones, just create content you believe the user will appreciate. Google will do the rest for you. Yeah. So okay, by the way, all of this Gyan was important because next time we look at our dashboards, we look at it completely differently. We will not blindly believe that 55% is organic and jump with joy. No, we will not celebrate that time. We will at least clarify what this 55% is costing us. All right. Next and the last. So Jihan, there are a few examples of real estate websites, which I'm going to anyways take. But this example was of DLF. But if you're talking about the new Bangalore-based real estate site, that is called Absolute Habitats, which is a consulting site. But anyways, we'll talk about more in future. So what is bounce rate according to you guys? And this is the last thing, and then we will break out before 1 o'clock. What is bounce rate? Okay, there's a definition out there, but ignore it. Tell me, what do you believe bounce rate is? Rate at which users leave your site. But Debu, then every user has to leave the site. There's no user who stays forever. Time is one of the factor. Okay. Shreya says rate at which user coming to the page and leave possibly immediately. Okay, Shreya, so immediately is okay, but that immediate has to have a time. Half second, 2 second, 5 seconds. So Anupriya, what is that time that they don't stay after to contribute to bounce rate? So for example, in this screenshot, it says 83.68%. These are the people who have left your website immediately. But what is that immediate? 1 minute, Debu is saying. Rashida is saying that visitors visit once and does not come back. Oh, all right. So guys, don't worry. That's okay. In next 15 minutes, you will know what bounce rate is. I think I must say all of you are really wrong. It could be less. Okay, all right. Argya is saying 10 to 20 seconds. Okay, guys, hang on. Now relax. Now let's go back to basics. Imagine when you bounce a ball on the floor. What happens? It's the same bounce, or bounce the ball on the wall. There are two things that happen there. One is that ball touches the floor for a fraction of a second. Like a fraction, literally, I don't know what fraction, 1/100th of a second. And it touches the floor only once, because if it touches again, it will be a second bounce, right? We are talking more about the latter and not the former. So imagine that your website is a combination of many pages. Home page is just one another page of your website, and they are all linked to each other via hyperlinks. That's how you can go from one page to another, right? From every page, there is a link to some other page. If a user comes on a certain web page of your site and leaves your site with the only condition that page view is equal to 1, is called a bounce. And purely that is bounce. Nothing else is. Bounce has got nothing to do with time. Absolutely nothing in the digital space. So let's talk about a few more wrong definitions uh, of bounce. So they were saying, so it's number of page visited. No, it is about page view. It's not even about number of pages visited. They're different things. So let me explain that to you, Debu. So some people believe that if your entry page is equal to exit page, that's how many definitions and books define it, then it is a bounce. Now, in such scenario, if you go to a page and then you go to some other page, come back and then leave, your entry is equal to exit. But your page views have gone up if you are visiting other pages. In a similar scenario, if you refresh it, so Debu, in this case, you're not visiting any other pages. You're visiting the same page, but even if you refresh it, your page views will become 2, and hence it is still not a bounce. And then some people link it with time. It should be less than 3 seconds, 10 seconds, 15 seconds, 1 minute. It's a bounce. Now imagine I go to Wikipedia. Let's say I'm reading about what? Let's say, okay, I'm reading about economics. What is economics? I didn't know what economics is before reading that page, for example. Now I Google searched it. I clicked on the Wikipedia page. It is a long page, and I spent 20 minutes reading line by line by line, and I now understand what economics mean. I have engaged with that website for 20 minutes. I loved it. In fact, it has now changed my opinion towards economics. And then I didn't feel like going to any other page because it has quenched my thirst. It has given me all the information I was looking for, and hence I didn't go to any other page. I close the browser and I exit the website. I still contribute to bounce rate because the page view was 1. It is independent of time. It is independent of my engagement on that page. I may have engaged very well. I may not have engaged very well. But page view is equal to 1 is a bounce. Now the number of bounces on a certain page divided by total sessions on that page is called a bounce rate. Simple. Now better clarity will come if you tell me what should be the ideal bounce rate. Should it be high? Should it be low? Do you want many people to bounce? Do you want less people to bounce? What should be the ideal scenario? Should the bounce rate be low? Guys, am I audible to you? Kayur is saying that I'm not audible. Okay. Rashida is saying it should be low. Should be low. Shreya is also saying. Debu is saying question again, please. What should be the ideal bounce rate, Debu, for your website? Do you believe the bounce rate should always be low or should it be high? Most of you guys are saying should be low. Okay. Now tell me one thing. I'm sure we all have done this, right? We all forget our IFSC codes of our bank and our branch, right? We all do this Google search. We click on the first link that comes, we copy the IFSC code and we exit. That's all we do. What do you think is the bounce rate of such websites? It'll be very high, isn't it? Or imagine those technical troubleshooting websites, those technical sites on how to format my computer, how to root my mobile phone, how to do this, how to do that. If I don't get the answer, a simple resolution in the very first page when I search, and if I have to go from one page to another to find my answer, then I'll start hating my website. And hence, these technical troubleshooting website would love to give you an answer in the very first go. They also want a high bounce rate. So all I'm giving you these examples because they've figured a business model out with high bounce rate. Imagine crickbuzz.com, the cricket sites, you know, India versus Australia happened lately. So I went to crickbuzz.com. On the home page, there is a score. and I went there only to find the score. I get my answer and I exit the page. While we are all saying that low bounce rate should be good, crickbuzz.com team will celebrate that night because their bounce rate was high. So guys, a bounce rate of a certain page should be understood in the context. What is the content? What is the objective of that page? Every time we can't run towards a lower bounce rate because sometimes it is not designed for that. There's another content website which my client, and actually this is not very old case study. We sometimes see the same thing happening these days also. So my client said, Satyam, in the last 1 week, one of our very important pages on our site is getting 96% bounce rate. Let's fix it. Today, this client of mine gets around 4 million sessions in a week, which is nothing, by no means a joke. It's a serious business. So I said, the same thing I'm trying to tell you, I told my client, but maybe we don't need any fixing because bounce rate alone does not tell me anything about the website. Absolutely nothing. I need some more information. And the information I got extra was this. Sessions on that week were 3.2 million. Average time spent on that particular page was 6 minutes. I actually went on to that page, read the entire page. There was also a small YouTube embedded video. I'm a slow reader, and I could finish the entire page around 3.5 minutes. Average time spent on that page was 6 minutes, which means people are reading it. 1/3 in that week, the revenue in that week, 1/3 was coming from this page. That means people were clicking on ad. They are giving revenue. So now, if you look at this, if I tell you what this page was, probably you'll be able to relate well. If you remember, around a year or two back, Amir Khan started this intolerance debate. I don't know how many of you remember. Then everybody started talking about country being intolerant and tolerant, whatever. Where he said that he and his wife would like to leave the country if things go on like this, etc. He's worried about his children. I don't even know whether it was worthy enough a news, but every news content site was harvesting clicks by writing this sensational news. Now imagine if this Amir Khan news is trending on your Facebook timeline. What will you do? As a user, you would want to know at least why this news is trending. So probably you will click on one of those articles that will come on your timeline. You will read, you will watch the YouTube video. That satisfies your urge of knowing why this person is going viral. Do you ever care about how amazing the content this website is writing and blah blah blah? Even all the other websites were writing because they wanted to attract more traffic because of this news. It's a win-win situation. You wanted traffic to click on your ad. You got that. User wanted to know about what's trending. They got that. They don't care about what other content you are writing, nor will they sign up. So overall, I believe there is nothing to be fixed. Now we all have this temptation, right, as marketers, that we should not let the user go outside of my site. I don't know why we are all crazy about it. Users will eventually will have to leave. If you want, you can create a hook on this page also. Maybe make them sign up for a campaign or show them a related article. How has somebody responded to Amir Khan's statement? Probably that's a related article that somebody would like to click on. It's okay to put hooks so that you can hook on to the customer. But beyond that, that temptation to make the user live with you forever, you're never going to satisfy that. So now I hope you understand what bounce rate basically means. And I think before I end today's session, let me put forward the final thing. The more you try and complicate things in online businesses or internet businesses, or as they say, digital businesses, things are quite simple. They're very, very simple. As they say, that internet is the only thing which is man-made, has come very close to how nature exists. Anything that is built on top of internet will have a product life cycle. For example, Facebook will die one day, or Orkut is dead, or Twitter will eventually, some new thing will come. Everything that is built on top of internet will follow a product life cycle, but internet will not. Some also say even after the World War III, even if there are no humans on the planet, internet still will exist. Is because the design of internet is such that it is very close to how nature is designed. I don't know how many of you have ever taken a forest safari. We all go to these jeeps in search of the tiger or a waterfall. How many of you have tried that before? If you haven't, you should try. Uh, because when I did my first forest ride in Tadoba near Nagpur, Tiger National Reserve, we are all struggling to find and spot one tiger. I don't know why we are ignoring the beauty of the snakes we see around, the other animals and the birds we see around, and we are all hooked to. We have to see the tiger, we have to see the tiger without seeing the beauty around you, anyways. But the more you live inside the forest, I also volunteered to animal counting in the nights and stayed inside for 7 days. Realized that how all the animals inside a forest live is exactly how internet exists. So, so I was amazed to find uh, that how either a bird or a monkey or a lizard or even all of those tiny little animals, they or one species or the other is always spotting the tiger and alarming the rest of the forest about the tiger's movement so that the rest of the species can be aware if the tiger is around. Now, if we have to spot the tiger as humans because we have paid for the safari and we have gone there to spot the tiger, we must learn to identify the noise that alarms other animals about the tiger as opposed to other noises in the forest, which are mating calls and which are other kinds of calls. And that's how we become like them. And that's how we become one of those animals. Unless you understand the noise and how the forest functions, it's very difficult for you to spot the tiger. So unless you become one of those network nodes in the internet, it's very difficult to function inside internet. You have to be one of those animals to spot the tiger. And you just can't keep roaming around in your jeep in the hope that tiger will make itself visible. A customer, if you have to find on your site to make the person buy something on your site, be one of those elements on which internet exists on. Go back to basics. Go, don't go with these tech, we're all busy doing Facebook ads and email ads and whatnot. Just go to basics. Sometimes go slow, you'll understand things better. Okay, sorry for the non-related gyan. I think this is where we stop. I wanted to share something more, but I think we have done enough. And this is the feedback link for today's session. If you liked the session, say that in the feedback. If you didn't like the session, say that in the feedback. We'll try and improve. And thank you so much for spending your Sunday. 3 hours is a lot of time, I can understand. So, uh, yeah. So now I want you to spend 2 more minutes in giving feedback. Any questions, more than welcome. In the next session, however, it's going to be deep diving into the swimming pool. Like now, we have known enough to now comfortably go inside the swimming pool without any fear and learn to swim slowly. So, in the next session, there are 4 key takeaways. We'll talk about those 4 eventually. But in every key takeaway, I will actually pick names and will give you the screen present rights. You will then be presenting your screens and I will be guiding with my audio and you will be showing and you will be teaching the rest of the class on how to do things on analytics. All right. So it's going to be a simple class next time where I'm going to give you hands-on myself, show my screen, and then I will give you the presenter rights. You will present it again as a hands-on. So next session is all about seeing and doing. All right. See you guys, have fun. See you on next Sunday and enjoy your weekend and the festival. Don't forget the feedback. Thanks, Anupriya. Thanks a lot. See you. Bye.